The sun wasn't even fully up when I stepped outside and froze. Two men dressed head to toe in black HOA cop uniforms were already standing in my driveway, one gripping a pair of oversized zip tie cuffs, the other holding a knife low at his side like he was trying to hide it. Both stared at me like I was prey. You, the one with the cuffs, barked. You're being detained for non-payment of an HOA fine. I blinked once. That's so? The knife guy stepped closer, jaw tight. You ignored 3 written warnings. You owe a $50 landscaping citation. You refused to comply. That makes you subject to HOA apprehension protocol. I kept my hands calmly folded behind my back, exactly how they expected a terrified homeowner to stand. What they didn't know was my right hand was wrapped around a Marine Corps issued pistol tucked under the back of my shirt. They had no idea who they were talking to. Not yet. Zip tie guy lifted the restraints. You will be detained until payment is processed. You don't get to say no. Before we dive in, comment which country you're watching from. Let's see how far this story travels. Because to understand how 2 grown men ended up in my driveway at dawn, armed, angry, and trying to kidnap me over 50 bucks, you need the backstory. I had lived here for 10 days. 10. And in those 10 days, HOA President Karen Lockheart decided I was her personal enemy. She didn't like that I missed her mandatory welcome orientation, a 2-hour lecture where she yelled at adults for not greeting neighbors correctly. She didn't like that I refused to pay a fake $50 lawn height violation she slapped on my door the morning after I moved in, even though my lawn was freshly cut by the previous homeowner. But what she hated most was that I didn't fear her. Everyone else in the neighborhood jumped when Karen snapped her fingers. Literally. I didn't. And every morning since, I'd wake up to a new message taped to my door. Compliance is not optional. Your behavior demonstrates hostility toward the HOA. Your attitude requires correction. Yesterday, she confronted me in front of 3 neighbors, screaming, "People like you don't get to ignore my HOA." I walked away. Apparently she didn't. Because now, here I was, in my driveway at sunrise, being circled by 2 fake cops armed with zip ties, a knife, and an inflated sense of authority that would have been hilarious if it wasn't so pathetic. Knife guy pointed the blade toward my chest. "You're coming with us. Don't make this harder." Zip tie guy reached for my arm. I didn't move, didn't flinch, didn't break eye contact. "This is your only warning," I said, voice low, calm, steady. "Walk away." They exchanged a glance, then smirked. The one with the cuffs stepped right into my space and said, "Or what? You're not going to do a thing." He shouldn't have said that, but he did. And in the next 5 minutes, they were going to learn exactly who they were dealing with. The fake HOA cop on the left tightened his grip on the knife, letting the blade flash in the morning sun like he expected it to scare me. The other one stepped in close, zip-tie cuffs stretched between his hands. Both smirking, both convinced they owned the situation. Both dead wrong. I didn't move. Not yet. Hands still behind my back. Posture relaxed. Breathing slow. I watched their confidence build. Let them believe they had me exactly where they wanted me. "Turn around," the zip-tie cop ordered. "Hands behind your head. You're being detained for non-payment of HOA fees." I raised an eyebrow. "For $50. He jabbed a finger toward my chest. "Plus late fees, plus attitude fees. You're in violation of HOA apprehension protocol. Don't make this worse." The one with the knife stepped closer. "Move," he warned, "or you'll be moved." My jaw tightened, not from fear, from patience thinning to its last thread. I gave them one last chance. "My warning stands. Walk away." They didn't. Knife guy lunged first. A sloppy, overconfident swing aimed at my chest. That's when my hands, the ones they thought were compliant, snapped into motion. I drew my Marine-issued pistol from behind my back in one clean movement. Bang! The shot cracked through the morning air. Knife guy's entire body jerked sideways as the round tore into his shoulder. His legs buckled. The blade clattered out of his hand. He hit the pavement screamings, rolling, gripping his shoulder as blood seeped between his fingers. The zip-tie cop froze, shock breaking through his ego for the first time. "Oh, God, you shot him!" he stuttered. I kept the pistol raised. "You brought a knife to my driveway," I said evenly. "Congratulations. That's attempted assault." He panicked. But instead of running, like a smart man, he charged me with the zip ties, stretched out like he planned to wrap them around my neck. I moved, one step to the right. My elbow drove hard into the side of his jaw, clean, precise, Marine trained. His head snapped sideways, his whole body stumbled. Before he could fall, I caught his vest, spun him, and slammed him into the hood of my car. He groaned, spit on the metal, tried to swing backward at me. I smashed his wrist against the hood. He screamed. "You're insane," he cried. "We have authority." I leaned close. "You have nothing." He tried to wriggle free. Bad idea. I drove my knee into his ribs. He collapsed instantly, sliding down the bumper and hitting the pavement like a rag doll. Behind me, knife guy let out one last cry and passed out cold from blood loss and shock. I exhaled once, then pulled out my phone. 911, I said calmly. Two armed suspects impersonating law enforcement. One stabbed at me, one attempted to detain me illegally. Shots fired, both down. Send deputies and medics. Before I ended the call, several neighbors stepped out with their phones raised. We got everything on camera, one said. Everything. Good, because this was far from over. Sirens began echoing in the distance, and Karen Lockheart, the HOA president who sent these idiots, was about to learn exactly what happens when you send armed clowns after a Marine. If you're enjoying this HOA story so far, like and subscribe, because the story is only going to get better. The deputies reached me first, hands hovering near their holsters, tense at the sight of two injured men on the pavement. But the moment I lifted my shirt just enough to show the badge clipped inside, United States Marine Corps identification, their entire posture shifted. They looked from the ID to the bleeding men, to the knife on the ground, to the neighbors filming everything from every angle. One deputy exhaled. All right, that changes things. Knife guy was still unconscious, breathing shallow. Zip tie guy was curled on his side, wheezing like a punctured accordion. But Karen Lockheart didn't see any of that. She stormed across the lawn, hair wild, robe flapping, screaming like she was the star of her own bad courtroom show. Arrest him. He assaulted HOA officers. He shot one. This is a felony. He is non-compliant. A deputy held up a hand. Ma'am, step back. I will not, she shrieked. He owes me $50. He resisted detainment. You have to arrest him. Her voice cracked so sharply it made half the neighborhood flinch. The deputy nearest me nodded toward the unconscious knife guy. Ma'am, your officer brought a weapon to a homeowner's driveway. He was enforcing protocol, she snapped. And the other one tried to restrain him with zip ties, another deputy added. That's attempted kidnapping. They were following orders, Karen screamed. The entire street froze. Every deputy turned toward her at once. One of them repeated slowly, orders? From who? Karen blinked, realized too late what she had admitted out loud, tried to backtrack. I mean, I only meant it's HOA business. Confidential HOA. Ma'am, the deputy cut in, I'm going to need you to stay right here. Paramedics lifted knife guy onto a stretcher. He whimpered when they touched his shoulder. When they loaded the second man, he pointed at Karen and blurted, She told us to do it. She said you wouldn't fight back. She paid us. Karen lunged toward him. You shut your mouth! But deputies held her back. Within an hour, detectives arrived. Within 2 hours, Karen's laptop, printed citations, and phone were seized. And before sunset, everything unraveled. The text messages on Karen's phone told the whole story. Detain him. He needs to learn compliance. Knife is only for intimidation. Don't actually use it. If he fights back, he loses HOA privileges permanently. And the worst one? I'll pay extra if you make him scared. The case didn't take long. Karen Lockheart was charged with conspiracy to commit assault, soliciting armed intimidation, impersonation of law enforcement through agents, coordinating an attempted kidnapping, filing fraudulent citations, endangering the public with armed civilians. Sentence: 8 years in state prison plus $38,000 in restitution, including damages and medical bills. As for the two attackers, knife guy, 4 years for assault with a deadly weapon and impersonation. Zip tie guy, 2 years after taking a plea deal and testifying against Karen. The HOA collapsed overnight. Board members resigned. Neighbors cheered when Karen was taken away in cuffs. And more than one person thanked me for ending the reign of Queen Karen. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired and relieved it was over. A neighbor walked up and asked, what finally made them stop? I glanced toward the empty street where Karen had screamed her last order. Simple, I said. They finally learned who they were dealing with. And that's how two fake HOA cops and one power-hungry president discovered the hard way. You don't try to detain a Marine and expect to walk away standing. The end.